everybody, welcome in to Off the Table. John Lunsford, Jon Rockstar Henniger.
Yep.
That's you?
That's today.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Great.
We are here, episode 1, officially episode 1. We did a little something last week. We're still kind of sort of getting the studio set up. It'll slowly but surely.
We're going to add something every show. We're going to add something new.
Something new.
A little
Honestly,
Easter egg.
I don't even know if you can see that.
Get rid
camera.
of that.
But we're here. We are building out the studio. Once again, if you want to use the studio, you can do so. Email me, Jon, Jon, at llcreative.co. And you can do that. Already working on a couple of other podcasts here, which should be pretty cool. But how was your weekend?
It was great. We went to the car show with a 2.5-year-old who wants to touch everything. He wants to go across the barriers. He was the only one that I saw that was being carried on his dad's shoulders for being crying and hitting and screaming. Then wanted to be carried the rest of the way. So imagine carrying 40 pounds all over the place up escalator. He would ride the escalator. How about that? I enjoy riding the escalator. And but it was a good show. Got to see a lot of cars. He loves cars. He's obsessed with the movie Cars. Hot Wheels are his thing. Ultimate Garage. He likes to show people his Ultimate Garage. But how was your weekend?
It was good. Thanks to World of Wheels for having us out there. Spent Friday out there talking to some of the awesome people there. You got to interview some people. So go to our social media platforms at Off the Table 247, and you can catch all of that there. Some of the cool cars we saw, some of the cool people we talked to. You got schooled and trying to figure out years of cars.
I played dumb. I know exactly what I was
did a little
talking.
better towards the end than starting off calling a Camaro a Mustang, which I feel like
they have the exact same backside.
There are some similarities, I feel like.
I
but
have to look it up.
It is very evil, I feel like, in the car world to compare a Camaro and a Mustang. Obviously, since one is Chevy and one is Ford. Very big competitors there.
I know, but who's superior in the fight? I don't even know.
I feel like
I think I would rather have a Camaro than a Mustang. But
I would rather have an old Camaro, but new Mustang.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the way the Camaros looks when they brought them back, but I always told my dad I wanted like a 67 Camaro, like the late 60s Camaro. I feel like I really like that one. I don't remember what year that one y'all were talking about was, but I like the older Camaros better than the older Mustangs, but the newer Mustangs better than the newer Camaros. But so thanks to World of Wheels for having us out there. It was a lot of fun. Got to check that out. Of course, every year, that first weekend of February, you can go to World of Wheels, and thanks to Amy and the whole crew for having us out there. We'll talk Grammys. You saw a little bit of Grammy listening from Rockstar on our social media page. We'll talk that. Of course, Super Bowl's coming up this weekend. And I know as we have continued to do something, thanks to everybody that commented on our last video. Glad to hear our voice. Where have y'all been? What's been going on? I've kind of said my piece with all of that. I'll let you now say whatever you want to say. People have been curious where you've been with baby number 2 on the way.
Yeah, we got another baby on the way in any day now. The due date is in mid-February, and we will probably not go full term. Having a child, depending on who you are, changes a lot about you, how you live your life. And us having Cord 2.5 years ago just rocked our world. He had some breathing issues. He's okay. Everything's all right. But he had some breathing. He had to be on oxygen every night for sleep for the first year of his life. So we were not sleeping at all the first year. Again, he's okay now. But it was a scary moment at first. At the beginning, and I just remember doing the next round in the round table. The joke about me was I didn't really keep up with sports, but I tried to the best I could. But once having a kid, it was over. I don't watch any football. I didn't watch anything. And so a big signature moment for me in the show was just how much I was just lost touch of reality my focus was on my child. I had come into work one morning and I had sat down, and Scott Forster, who does cameras and everything, was sitting behind me, and I had obviously not slept, and I had made a joke, and he said, well, you should get Will Smith to slap you awake. And I said, yeah. And I go, wait, what? And he goes, did you not see last night? And I go, see what? And he goes, the Oscars. And I was like, no. And he's like, you did not see that. And I go, Scott, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's how uninformed I was. I had no idea the Chris Rock Will Smith slap on. He's like, it's all over Twitter. I was like, Scott, I don't go on Twitter. We're in bed at like 8:30 or 9 when everyone get cord to sleep. So I think that started. And I'm a Detroit Lion fan, fringe on the fan, and like they made the NFC Championship last year. I did not watch a minute of it. I think I remember we were out to eat with Cord and my wife and I remember like, oh my God, the NFC Championships games tonight. Did not see a play. We were playing a show in Rome, Georgia, a couple weeks ago when they were doing the Washington Commanders game. Did not see a play. I saw that they got destroyed. But it's just like that has taken a back seat on everything. It was so hard to keep up with everything with a kid and now with another one on the way. So I had to just kind of step down from my role at the next round. I thought it was probably the best for all parties involved to kind of get involved with something else slower for me where I can devote more time to my family. So,
all right. I will leave it at that. We will, I'm sure if you ever have any questions, you can ask us anything you want to on social media, whatever, and we'll answer any questions that we can answer. But we'll leave it at that and we'll move on to another award show that you said you didn't watch the Oscars last
Barrett
year.
Sports Media?
No, not that one.
What are those called? The Berries?
I don't know. I think they just...
Yeah,
so this is the best show or whatever.
Yeah, Midwest or not? What's it called? Mid-market, major market, small
major
market.
Yeah. Man, that was the thing back in the day. But the Grammys were last night. At least as of recording this, it was last night. My wife has kind of forced you to pay a little more attention to current music. You can see Rockstar listening to. So you listen to Charlie XCX, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce. I believe, were the three that we put up that you had listened to. You listened to all of them.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Grammys at all last night? Do you know who won Album of the Year last night? What was your favorite Album of the Year? And what do you just think about current music these days in general?
I was no, I did not watch it. I heard Laurel said it was only like 4.5 hours long. So
it's very long.
No, absolutely not.
It's 4 hours long, and they only gave away 8 or 9 awards. So there's a million Grammys when you get to like all the different genres and everything. Pearl Jam. I don't know if they won or not.
I think Rolling Stones won.
But hey, even the Beatles were nominated last night.
And they won.
And it's interesting how the Grammys are done, but it mostly was just performances. That was pretty much it.
So when Laurel got me to listen to these albums and for the albums of the year, my immediate inkling was going to be this is going to be hip hop. It's all going to be hip hop. And like I thought hip hop and like Katy Perry pop stuff. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like Billie Eilish, everything she sings is it's a secret. I don't want you to know what I'm talking about. And then Charlie XCX, I cannot remember. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't something I would listen to. But like all the stuff, and I thought out of all of it, I thought Taylor Swift's album was the most identifiable. I thought she was going to win it, but what do I know? She didn't win. I guess it was Beyonce won it.
Well, so I can't remember if it was last year or year before. Jay-Z won some, it's not a Lifetime Achievement Award, but it's something like that. One of those Grammys they give away that's not like a category. They just like pick somebody like, hey, they've done a lot. Obviously, Jay-Z has done a lot. And he made some comment about Beyonce not having one album of the year.
Bradley Cooper's never won Best Actor, so does he deserve it? Like Leonardo DiCaprio for doing The Revenant and eating a raw fish?
It kind of seems that way.
So it's like a Lifetime Achievement Award.
She did a country album, which was, I wouldn't say it was divisive. I'd say most people liked it. I think
Didn't it have like 27 songs on it?
Yeah, it was 27 songs. It was a lot. She had a lot of hits from it. Her and Miley Cyrus, I think, won last night. There's songs she did with Miley Cyrus. She did a lot of songs with people, with country artists that, kind of made it sound a little more authentic, and she did a good job with it. And I think the idea of Beyonce doing a country album was interesting to most people. Not that anybody instantly turned their nose up to it, but Post Malone isn't a country guy, but he did a country album. It was nominated for a bunch of awards last night as well. But it was kind of like, this is the year that if Beyonce's going to win it, this is going to be the year she wins it. And I think a lot of people were really on Sabrina Carpenter, which I don't know if you like that one or not.
I honestly can't remember. I just remember they all surprised me. I just remember like that. This is, and a lot of stuff is going back to the 80s. There's so many synthesizers and so like the one that I did not understand and I thought was a joke was the Andre 3000, the flute. There's no flute. Everything sounds like the score for a movie, and they're
it's
like
not quite Outcast.
And they're like 18-minute songs. But I don't think I would listen to any of it. I didn't like hate any of them. Like, this is absolutely awful. I thought it was just be like, that's what I thought it was going to be. So I was pleasantly surprised. But again, like I don't know the Kendrick Lamar song. I know he's playing. I didn't know what he looked like. I heard he was playing the Super Bowl. That's how out of touch I am with current music.
Yeah, it's that's gonna be the halftime show. We'll talk about the Super Bowl here in a second, as that's coming up this weekend. He did win 5 Grammys, I believe. I think it was the biggest win for a rapper in a single night. For a single song, he won 11 at one show one time because of his album and being a producer on a bunch of albums. But he was a big winner last night. Beyonce was a big winner last night. Sabrina Carpenter won a little bit.
Oh, the question I had, since Beyonce won a Grammy for it, does she do another country album? Or is it just like that was just a one-time thing?
My wife has said she's going to do a rock album, I think, next.
Oh, good.
Which I would be a little more into.
So it's going to be like with Carlos Santana and Ozzy Osbourne. It's going to be collaborative stuff.
You never know. I could see Beyonce collaborating with those people, especially Santana. But I think a rock album would be more my speed. I'm just not a country person in general. I like Beyonce. I like even some of Destiny's Child. I just don't really care about country in general. So I didn't really care about that album.
That album, you mean the album of the year?
Yeah, the album of the year.
Okay.
Taylor has won, obviously, so many times. If she would have won last night, it would have been 5-time
So is she like
album of the year winner.
She's like the Nick Saban?
You can't give Nick Saban Coach of the Year every year. Because like my wife, who's now a diehard Chiefs fan because of all this.
Oh, of course.
She made a comment like, why doesn't Andy Reid win Coach of the Year every year? It's like, well, Bill Belichick doesn't win Coach of the Year every year. Nick Saban didn't win Coach of the Year every year. It's just how it is. You can't win Coach of the Year every year. It's kind of like, it's almost like a most improved and did a guy that did really good. And I'd say the same thing goes for the Grammys too. Like you can't win every award. Meryl Streep can't win every Oscar. Taylor Swift can't win every Grammy.
Should.
You know, I feel like the Emmys will do that a little more when a show really hits, but even that started to kind of spread out a little bit. But it was a pretty good show overall. I thought Trevor Noah did a good job hosting. Jim Gaffigan randomly came in and made a Luka joke that was really funny.
I had no idea Trevor Noah hosted the
He's done it the last few years. He does a decent job. Speaking of hosting, I'm looking forward to Conan doing the Oscars.
Yes,
I think that'll be pretty funny.
I'm a huge Conan fan. I do not like award ceremonies. Conan or Ricky Gervais, which one of those two, or Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. That's actually entertaining. I just don't like it when it's just the celebrities are untouchable.
Nikki Glaser did decent at the Golden Globes this past year. She's pretty funny. She was at the Grammys last night too.
She's better, as good as Joe Coy.
Joe Coy was maybe the worst host ever. And there have been some bad Oscar hosts. There have been some bad
But it was during the writer's
hosts.
strike.
But it was during the writer's strike. He threw the writers under the bus. It was awful. I have not even seen that guy since that happened.
I thought he was going to have like a big tell-all, like a comeback Netflix special, stand-up special. I thought it was going to be something like guarantee in a year, like he'll be back, like, oh, I'm going to tell the true story, and then it's going to be the number one. I was wrong about that. I have not heard from him.
So anyway, Grammys last night, Beyonce, big winner. Your girl, Chappell Roan, won Best New Artist, or you call her Chappelle.
Chappelle, I didn't see. That just shows you how much. And I'm looking at a picture of her, and it's like, this doesn't look real. It looks like
She is very interesting, very unique.
Looks like she rode in on a unicorn.
She is the picture with like the big dunce cap on.
Yes.
She started getting her award, and it fell off. Had an interesting speech.
Yeah, I thought that was
she won.
Something that I've never really thought of is that she asked for artist labels to be given their artist healthcare coverage, because you're thinking about they're making billions and billions of dollars, these artists, which they're not. These days, the executives and everything are making the money, but when you're tied to, that is your employer, it's the record label, and they're not offering them health insurance, which is absolutely crazy, because if the label drops me no matter what, like, I got to get health insurance. And so that's really awesome of her to bring that up. And then she said, like, I always told myself if I ever won a Grammy or be in a spotlight like this, I'd say this speech. And I think that was really commendable that she did that, because it opens eyes. Like, I'm a musician. I never thought of that labels did not offer health insurance to their artists, which is just insane, because that is their job. It's not like I do a 9 to 5 and then I'm a touring musician 10 months of the year. It's like, no, this is your job. They need to give you health insurance because they're making money off of you. So I thought that was a really bold move by her. Will it move the needle? I have no idea. People are probably talking about it today, but I don't think they're going to do it. But I just think, like Pearl Jam with the Ticketmaster thing, didn't really move the needle, but they stood up to it. And it's just amazing how powerful the music industry is to say, like, look, we'll just move on to the next artist who would love to not have insurance just to have us sign them. It's a sad state, but I commend her for doing that.
There were a lot of headlines from last night, the biggest of which, obviously, the entire event was basically used as a fundraiser for LA with the fires and everything out there. So hopefully that doesn't get lost in the shuffle of that. There's this whole bit about The Weeknd had boycotted the Grammys. He came back and performed because they changed some of how they've done things, and so he came back and performed. So there were a lot of headlines from last night, but that was a big one.
I saw that Kanye showed up.
Kanye showed up uninvited. I did not realize he was uninvited until the tweets started coming out that he was kicked out. He shows up with his wife. I don't remember her name.
Bianca
something.
Sensori, because everybody said like, well, more like unsensori.
Yeah. She shows up, and this is not the first time he's done this. There's been a lot of this that my wife has shown me, where she goes out and basically wears nothing.
Yep.
And she had a dress on, but it was basically like a see-through tight, I guess like what you'd expect like pantyhose to be, but like there was a dress made out of that. And they come and it's like, oh, Kanye and Taylor Swift in the same room. This is going to be interesting. She takes her jacket off. She's wearing literally nothing under it. You can see the pictures on Twitter. But then it's like, oh, they've been kicked out because they weren't even invited to the Grammys. He literally just came just because.
Even though you're not invited, I mean, I know you're a big name, but how do you get to be on the red carpet?
Well, when you get to the red carpet,
like I couldn't get on the red carpet.
The cars pull up, it seems like, outside. They usually have drivers, limos, whatever. They drop them off. Then you walk the red carpet. Because I saw there's a streamer named Kai Cenat, which I don't know if you know who that is, but he's like...
I know Kyle Kanan.
He's a huge streamer, and he was actually there live streaming on the red carpet right where they get dropped off. And I just saw this on Twitter after the fact, but he sees Kanye, instantly talks to Kanye, and then Kanye just kind of walks right in, and there's a bunch of like... I don't know if they work for the Grammys, if they're just general publicists, if they're journalists, whatever, are like, ooh, Kanye, okay, let's take some pictures of Kanye. And you basically just walk straight off the road onto the red carpet to where if there's like security on the drive-in, like I'm sure there
has to be
some barriers and stuff. The security probably doesn't have, they probably have a list for some people, but there's probably some people like Taylor Swift shows up, it's Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Kanye shows up, it's Kanye. They are both larger than life, and it's just like, oh, Kanye's here. Okay, yeah, come on in.
But if you're the Grammys, do you like this or do you not? Because it's what everybody's talking about.
I mean, Kanye's big enough and has enough fans that if you do something negative against him, it can turn against you. But
he had to know he was going to get kicked out.
I feel like the average person sees that and doesn't think, I can't believe the Grammys kicked Kanye out. It's like, oh, he wasn't supposed to be there. I'm kind of glad they kicked him out because you're going to have another... Because it was Taylor Swift and Beyonce when he did the whole thing at the MTV, the VMAs or whatever, when he said...
What, 15 years ago?
That was a long time ago. And so the whole thing was Taylor gave the award for Best Country Album, which, of course, Beyonce won. And the whole thing was like, oh, they're on stage again. And I started thinking, because they had already announced she was going to give that award away because she won it 15 years ago or whatever when she was still doing country. And it's like, Kanye's in this building. And if Beyonce doesn't win it, it's going to go up there and make some comment, trying to defend Beyonce again. It could have been interesting. They kicked him out, so nothing really crazy happened. But that was the Grammys. Talked a lot more about the Grammys than I thought we would. Yeah. It was, like I said, a 4-hour show. They gave away, I think it was 8, maybe 9 awards. There are tons of awards because you got to think about all like the movie soundtracks they do, like the classical stuff. They give away audio. Jimmy Carter won a Grammy last night.
I saw that.
Like that's how many crazy different awards there are because of an audiobook. So they give that. That's how a lot of people become EGOTs, is doing audiobooks and stuff like that are mostly actors. But none of that was on the ceremony. I imagine something like giving Jimmy Carter a Grammy would have been good for the ceremony. Giving the Beatles a Grammy would have been good for the ceremony. Giving some of these people a Grammy would have been good.
McCartney or Ringo there?
Not that I saw, because they would, they show like a clip from a music video, or like for most of Taylor Swift stuff, it was like clips from her tour whenever she was nominated. And so when the Beatles, the only thing they did was like Song of the Year, I think, or Record of the Year, one of those they had. And it was like maybe from a documentary that had like Paul McCartney standing next to John Lennon, but it was like a virtual version of John Lennon or something. Interesting Grammys last night. The Oscars are coming up in a month from now, so that'll be interesting as well to see who wins all those big awards. You can go follow me at Pop Culture Life on YouTube. I do all kind of Oscar stuff there. I'll try to get you caught up on everything before we go into the Oscars, so that way you understand all Conan's jokes he's making when he makes them.
Well, there's one thing I want either you or Laurel to sit down and explain to me, just kind of nutshell for me this Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively thing. You don't have to do it today, but I would love a sit down because now I hear people are against them. Now they're taking the side of the dude now.
Justin Baldoni.
Yeah, and like that
it's kind of complicated. Laurel can do a better job
that
of
Ryan
explaining
Reynolds
it.
had like some kind of fake paparazzi thing that somebody called him like that's obviously fake. These people were not his fans, and nobody had their phone up. Like, what is going on with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively? I don't know. There's 2 lawsuits. They blacklisted this Baldoni guy that I've never heard of, and I'm intrigued to know. I'm sure Laurel knows the story, but I would love to hear.
She can explain it much better than I can. But the Cliff Notes version is obviously Deadpool was one of the biggest movies last year. Right after Deadpool that Ryan Reynolds did was It Ends With Us, which was Blake Lively. It's a book. And it was Justin Baldoni did the movie, but Blake Lively was like the main star of the movie. And Justin Baldoni played the guy who was the abusive husband of Blake Lively. Basically, it seems like the abuse went off screen as well to Blake Lively.
It was constantly like him making fun of her weight or something like that.
Stuff like that. And then now it's supposedly there's a character in Deadpool. The whole point is like it's like a multiverse. There's like other Deadpools out there. And there's one called there's one called Nice Pool. And so it's basically Ryan Reynolds. He almost looks like a samurai. He has like a long ponytail and everything, but he's like over the top nice, like super feminist, and everything he says. Supposedly every aspect of that character comes from something Justin Baldoni had done in public or through text or whatever, something he had said. And then at the end, he's used as like a human shield and gets brutally murdered in a fight. And so it's like, oh, that supposedly is Justin Baldoni. It's turned into a whole thing. She can give you all the details of why and how.
Do you have a side right now? Are you on a side?
I like Deadpool. So I'd probably take their side because I don't want Deadpool to disappear from the MCU. I don't know the specifics of what exactly has happened. It seems like Justin Baldoni is more in the wrong and that Ryan Reynolds has basically like maybe gone a little overboard in the revenge against him.
Yeah.
But my wife can explain it much better. So we'll save that for next week. I'll bring Laura can't be here today.
Just her nutshell it, just like because I did the flip of this new stuff with still on Reddit where people are same people that were against this Baldoni guy now are against Ryan Reynolds. Like I knew Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were too controlling. It's like you guys have done a complete 180.
Here's the truth. Everybody on social media just wants to hate something.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, well, let's hate Justin Baldoni. Well, now let's hate Ryan Reynolds. Well, let's hate, from last night, let's hate Taylor Swift. Let's hate Beyonce. Let's hate whoever we can hate. It's all about what can we hate when it comes to movies, music, any kind of art form, whatever.
Seems like the hate because you can compliment anybody. It's funnier when you can make fun of somebody.
Yep.
People will listen to you more.
Speaking of things people hate, the Super Bowl is coming up this week, and everybody hates the Chiefs. They are one of the teams. They're one of the things that is most hated in this world because of Taylor Swift. To tie the Grammys in with this, Travis was not there last night. Obviously, he is getting ready for the Super Bowl. My wife, who's the world's biggest Chiefs fan now, kept saying all throughout the playoffs, well, if they lose, it's okay because that means Travis will be able to go to the Grammys with Taylor Swift.
That is true.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that's really, I'm glad. I think the whole fan base would be happy if they lost. That way Travis could go be on the red carpet with Taylor Swift, which she had a little T hanging from her dress, which easily could have been Taylor. But it's like, this one person on Twitter said it stands for Travis, and it means that they're potentially going to get engaged. And it's like,
oh, my God.
I'm just like, okay. Whatever.
Remember, he was supposed to propose to her in the Super Bowl last year, right?
Yeah, and then the whole thing is supposed to end in September.
And then her announced her candidacy for president or who she's endorsing for president.
It's Supreme Leader of the world.
Jeez.
So the Super Bowl's coming up this week.
It is annoying, but like I don't care as much for the people. Do they still show her in the press box as much as
the thing is? So in the AFC Championship last week, they were playing the Bills, and it was at home, so she was there. They showed her right before halftime for the first time. I walked in right at kickoff. They may have shown her a bunch before that. I don't know. But I walked in right at kickoff, and the first time I didn't leave. The first time I saw her was with like a minute left in the first half. They showed her for a quick second because the Chiefs scored a touchdown. It may have been Travis. I don't know.
That everybody was so upset that they just constantly show her and everything. And
even still, it's
that picture of Bill Belichick going, "Oh my God!" Like
it's 50 seconds total of airtime. But
it doesn't bother me. Like
it's 50 seconds over like 6 different times, and people lose their mind. I've never seen grown men lose their mind so much because a woman was on a broadcast. But Super Bowl this weekend, I have been a huge Jalen Hurts fan ever since he first walked out on the field.
Oklahoma to die for. I was the biggest Oklahoma
for Alabama.
Fan
he is like the one person I have been all over. Like I have supported him. He came out his first play as an Alabama player. He went out, it was against USC. They're playing in Dallas, and he fumbled the ball. Yeah. And most people would have been, because he was replacing Blake Barnett, who was not playing good at that point. Most people would have been like, who is this guy? Get him out. He just fumbled the ball. Put Blake Barnett back in. I was like, I think this guy has something. I kind of pay attention in the off season, through practice and everything because we paid a little more attention to it back then. But I love watching him play. And everybody just talks about, well, he got benched. He moved to Oklahoma, so he's not really an Alabama person. He is. He was there for 3 years. He played for 3 years. And I have been so excited to watch him in the pros. I was the only person I feel like on the planet on Jock's Primetime, my old show. I would always say, this is the year he got benched for Tua. I would always say Jalen will be a better NFL player than Tua will be. And I'm glad it's finally coming to fruition. He's been to the Super Bowl twice. I think he has a good chance to win this time. Chiefs are, I think, a 1.5 favorites. They're a slight favorite in it, but I have been saying the entire time, man, I really want Jalen to win a Super Bowl. And there's 7 Alabama players on the Eagles anyway.
Yeah,
so it's a very Alabama-heavy team. But I was like, I want Jalen to win a Super Bowl so bad. I want him to win this so bad so he can get that Super Bowl and he can have that legacy and everything. And every time I say it, my wife looks at me like, I'm the most evil person on the planet. I cannot believe you said that.
Yeah.
Now, my wife went to Auburn, I went to Alabama, so we argue about the Iron Bowl. We argue about plenty of sports things.
Has nothing to do with that.
But this is the most intense she's ever been about, I cannot believe you're cheering against the Chiefs. It's not like, I can't believe you're cheering against Auburn or something like that, because she actually went to school there, actually worked for the school. It's obviously Taylor Swift.
No.
And it's bizarre, but she is all about the Chiefs. I'm all about the Eagles.
What if Kelsey got traded to the Eagles?
She would become an Eagles fan.
Wow.
Well, the whole thing is, it wouldn't surprise me if he hangs it up after this year, especially if they do win. That'll be 3 in a row. He can't accomplish anything else.
He's supposed to be doing action movies and stuff like that.
He's going to be in Happy Gilmore this year. He's going to start getting more roles. He's kind of in that role that like OJ was back in the day, Joe Namath was, like those football players that
what happened
kind of
to
move
OJ?
Those football players that move into acting, he's kind of that next one. He's kind of following in the footsteps of like more like The Rock or like John Cena, like what a wrestler would do, I feel like. He's kind of following in those footsteps. And I think he'll start booking a lot more gigs. But she's like, well, he'll win, he'll retire. And I said, well, you're not going to care about the Chiefs anymore at that point. Well, no, I'll still kind of sort of keep up with him because there's a legacy there. And, they're going to end up getting married and he's going to go in their Ring of Honor, which he totally will. But it's like, you can't believe you know what a Ring of Honor even is. But she's obsessed with it. It's been a house divided more than any Iron Bowl, even though we both went to Alabama and Auburn. And the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend. Kendrick Lamar is doing halftime. I know you're pumped for that. That was the best thing is you listen to all the albums, and I was like, did you listen to Kendrick Lamar? It's like, no. I played Not Like Us, which is the song he's nominated for, and you just had this look on your face like, what am I listening to right now?
It's just racket. It's like somebody, what's the girl's name that did that Friday? Rebecca Black?
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody did that. And I know it's like the biggest thing. Like, this is obviously not made for me, but it's just like, this sounds like a joke. This doesn't sound like something I would turn on my car like, I want to listen to it. What's it called? What's the song called? Not
Like Us.
Okay. And I know this Drake, did he thank Drake on his acceptance speech or whatever?
No. So he walked up there. He won multiple awards, but one of the awards he walked up and the first thing he did is go, what's up, Dre? And he was talking to Dr. Dre.
Oh. But
it sounded like he said Drake, and this is because that's the song he won for. And my wife's like, did he just say, what's up, Drake?
That was on purpose.
It's like, I mean, he said, what's up, Dre? And I know Dr. Dre is one of the biggest people in the industry. But it was funny because he's like, what's up, Dre? I can't believe he said Drake.
He can win as much Grammys as he wants, but he will never say he was in Degrassi. Jimmy was. He got shot, and he was in a wheelchair.
In a wheelchair. I remember that. I remember that show back in the day.
That's not one of us. Degrassi. You didn't get accepted in Degrassi.
He's not like us because he is actually
he's a tall
very
guy.
Accomplished actor.
He's a tall guy, too.
Kendrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very short. He was up there with all his producers, and he was so much shorter than all of them. But he's doing the Super Bowl. I don't know who will come out with him. I think SZA is the only person I've heard, rumored.
Don't know if that's a guy or girl.
She did a song called Kill Bill a couple of years ago that was really big. That's probably the only song I can name that she's done. She just did a movie, One of Them Days, that came out. I don't know if you saw a trailer for it. It's her and Keke Palmer. You know who Keke Palmer is?
Couldn't tell if it's a guy or girl.
Man, Keke Palmer, she was in
Can
Nope.
I be on your pop culture thing?
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie Nope?
Yeah.
She's the main girl in that.
Okay.
That's Keke Palmer.
I saw her on Sesame Street.
She was a Nickelodeon person for a while.
She was on Sesame Street with Elmo doing some song about brushing your teeth or something.
She's a singer too. So there's 2 singers in that. It was a funny enough movie. But anyway, SZA I think will be there. I don't know who else will be there. His producer Mustard will be there.
Oh, I love Mustard.
That is his name, Mustard. I was going to go through and do a bunch of prop bets. We've been talking for long enough about the Grammys. I won't get to that. But
does Drake show up to the halftime? Would that
don't think so.
Oh,
like the thing is, who could be the biggest guest? I feel like that's with the halftime. It's like who could show up with whoever's doing it. Like
Travis Kelce, like leaving the locker room and
Well, the big thing would be Taylor Swift because one of his first big songs that really made it mainstream was he did Bad Blood with Taylor Swift.
But is it still the Pepsi thing? Isn't she?
No, it's Apple now.
Okay, because she can't do because she's Coke.
That's I think gone now.
And I think,
but she's not gonna do it if Travis is there.
Well, no, but she also doesn't need she doesn't need it.
No, I wouldn't say everybody that's done it has needed it, but a lot have needed it, and it has
because your Spotify, your streaming numbers blow up the next 2 days. But she doesn't need it.
Like The Weeknd didn't need it necessarily. Like I don't know that like Bruno Mars needed it. I don't know that Beyonce needed it. Some people definitely have needed it. I feel like the surprise is like, oh, who could be the surprise? Taylor Swift would be the biggest one, but I think the biggest one would be Drake.
Jared from Subway.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. Super Bowl. Kendrick Lamar halftime, Eagles, and I was going to ask you who's even playing, but you do. Eagles and Chiefs. Who wins?
That's going to be the Chiefs. They always win. And they've turned into the Patriots. That's like if it was Tom Brady back then, the AFC Championship would have been the Chiefs and I don't know who. I guess everybody would hate the Chiefs more than the Patriots. But I'll guarantee the Chiefs will win. I just think it's just
score
28-14.
28-14. Chiefs win by 14 points. I'm going to go Eagles just because I want the Eagles to win 27-24 in that one. So we'll see who gets closer to the actual score. Had a bunch of prop bets we won't get into because we've talked for a while, but I don't know if you care about the prop bets. I feel like that's always something people do, and it's always a way to make money. Purple Gatorade will be the one that is dumped on the winner.
Andy Reid. He'll be like barbecue sauce or something like that.
He is one of those that his whole thing is he goes and gets a cheeseburger after he's done.
He's been on. That's another thing. He's everywhere too. Every time I turn on diners, drive-ins, and dives, he's hosting with Guy Fieri.
He's a pretty good personality.
He is. He's on State Farm and everything. Yeah. So
compared to Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, who were at the top of their games,
it's not a high bar.
That's the thing. I think everybody's so excited now that the best coach is, and I think he probably is the best coach ever in the NFL, especially if he wins and gets the 3P for the first time. But he is so much better. When he does the bundle Rooski stuff, I don't know, that always cracks me up. It's like bundle Rooski. Yeah. He's just
he draws all over his face in the airport.
Actually gets into it. The one where they're in the fast food restaurant, and he's like, explain it again. And he does the fries. He's like, explain it again, but this time with those nuggies. And he goes and grabs the nuggets. He's really funny.
He's a funny guy.
He's a good personality. Peyton Manning's one of those. He's a pretty good personality. He can be pretty funny. He's hosted Saturday Night Live before. I'd like to see Andy Reid host Saturday Night Live. I'm curious what they could do with someone like Andy Reid doing
somebody
that.
like that. They'd always put him in drag. Every time Barkley does it, they put him in drag.
They probably would, being a bigger guy. They're it'll be funny that he's doing that. But I feel like he could be pretty funny on that. I mean, he'd probably have to retire. I don't know if he'd do it.
They need to redo the Chippendales skit.
The Chris Farley, Patrick Swayze one, yeah. But I think he could do something like that. And I think I could see him popping up in movies. We talk about Travis moving on to do movies.
Yeah.
I can see Andy Reid moving on to do movies and just popping up every now and then. It's like, oh, haha, that's kind of funny. Kind of how Peyton Manning.
A buddy cop thing.
Yeah. So Rocky's going with the Chiefs. I'm going with the Eagles. Not that we really care either way who wins. My wife very much cares and wants the Chiefs to win. No Playhouse this week, no lounge this week, but we are working on those this week. So next week we'll have a good Playhouse that we're working on building out a little bit of a lounge. And there's a guitar right behind Rocky, unless you just want to pull it down and play it randomly.
Not today. My fingers hurt.
But we'll get the lounge in here as well. Wasn't the whole thing you have to wait till? Was it after March Madness?
No, we stretched it. We started doing it Labor Day weekend. We went all the way.
I can't even remember.
It was always before media days, and then it stretched into after media days, and it stretched into before kickoff.
We'll start after the Super Bowl, and we'll just go till whenever on this and do some lounge here. So, that's it. I think I'm going to title this one, Rockstar Says Kendrick Lamar is just like Rebecca Black.
Yes, and if he wants to arrive, get Jared Fogle.
Jared from Subway at Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah. Make him walk there because that's how he knows.
I don't really know how to end this now. I'm Jon. That's Rockstar.
Have a good rest of this could be the weekend. This could be the week. Happy Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Friday.
Today's the day. Go accomplish your dreams.
Wait till tomorrow.